This is the SkyRover X1. It's a sub 250 gram drone with the very capable 1/1.3 inch sensor, a 15-kilometer range, and a compact, portable design that's perfect for travel, and it's easy to fly with 360-degree obstacle avoidance sensors and intelligent flight modes that'll make you feel like an expert drone pilot even if you're not. You can get a cheaper drone, but you'll give up a lot. You can also get a more capable drone, but you'll pay way more. Another huge advantage of this lightweight design is that it doesn't make much noise. Here's what it sounds like. Full disclosure, SkyRover did send me this drone for review, but as always, I'm gonna be completely honest with you guys, and I'm gonna push this drone to its limits in some very challenging conditions high in the Andes Mountains to give you the information that you need to decide for yourself if this drone is for you. Here's what the drone will look like when it comes to you. I did get the bundle, and I recommend going with the bundle because you're always going to want at least one extra battery. And if you buy just the drone and an extra battery, you're going to be pretty close to the bundle price anyway. And the bundle comes with 2 extra batteries, 3 full sets of extra props, the charging hub, and a carrying case. So for me, this bundle is a no-brainer. Inside the box, we've got this very nice black carrying case with all your goodies packed inside, like a USB-C data cable, a screwdriver, which you'll need to replace your props, some extra props, a USB-C to lightning cable. We have our battery charging hub with 2 extra batteries. It does have a USB-C port, so you can use a battery bank in the field or even an outlet in your car. This battery hub does charge the batteries in sequence or 1 pack at a time, but that has the advantage that you could pluck out a single battery as soon as it's charged to go fly while you're waiting for the other 2. And here's the remote. If you've ever used a DJI drone before, this remote is going to feel real familiar. It feels great in my hands and it's nice and solid. On the bottom we have a niche for our sticks. And on the top we have a sliding phone holder with a cable to plug in your phone. And the drone itself. This cover protects the gimbal and the obstacle avoidance sensors, so your drone will be safe even if your bag rolls around in the back of the car with the dogs like mine does. The yellow on black color scheme looks pretty cool, and the drone feels super lightweight but solid at the same time. If you've never held an ultralight aircraft like this in your hands before, your first impression might be that it feels sort of flimsy, but it's really not. It's just the nature of a sub 250 gram drone. The drone is tiny and sits in the palm of your hand, and the entire kit fits in this lunchbox sized bag. The highlight of the X1 is this camera with its 1/1.3 inch sensor, which is mounted to a 3-axis gimbal so you can get smooth, stabilized footage even in windy conditions when the drone is bouncing around. The quality of the photos and videos we can get from this camera is very good, especially if you consider the price point, and it's one of the main reasons why you should consider the X1. On the back of the drone, we have a battery status light, a power button, air vents for cooling the electronics, a USB-C port which you can use to charge your battery right in the drone, and our SD card slot. There is no built-in storage in the X1, so don't forget your SD card. The batteries on the X1 are rated for up to 32 minutes. Realistically, you'll get less flight time than that because you probably won't have perfect flying conditions, and you don't want to run your batteries all the way down anyway. They'll last longer if you use them gently. The X1 has 3 flight modes: Cine, Normal, and Sport. You can think of these 3 flight modes as slow, normal, and fast, but that's an oversimplification. Cine mode is designed to smooth out your stick movements to help you get smooth, cinematic shots, so the drone will be less responsive and it'll drift more. Normal mode is what it sounds like, and in sport mode, the drone will be super fast and responsive, and it'll feel more like a racing drone. Just don't forget that if you're flying in sport mode, your obstacle avoidance sensors are not available. You might notice that I'm getting a high altitude warning on my screen. That's because I'm flying in the Andes Mountains and I'm at about 12,000 feet. Flying at high altitude does reduce the drone's efficiency because the air is thinner, but the X1 performed great. When you're flying a drone, the range and reliability of your link is absolutely critical, so you can maintain control without all the anxiety that comes from those weak signal warnings. The X1 uses a technology that SkyRover calls SkyBridge, which transmits a live video feed back to you in 1080p, 60 frames per second, up to 15 kilometers away. Now, to clarify, you do not need to fly that far away. You'll get the best shots when you're relatively close to your subject by getting interesting perspectives and angles and mastering your lighting. And it's probably illegal for you to fly beyond visual line of sight anyway. So why do we care about a 15-kilometer range? Well, better range also means better penetration. So even if you're much closer to home, a transmission system that's capable of that kind of distance will maintain a strong, reliable connection even when you fly behind trees or obstacles. The SkyBridge link with its 15-kilometer range is one of the main things that separates the X1 from the cheaper options that are out there. The X1 will do 4K up to 100 frames per second, and the videos you're seeing here were shot in 4K 60 frames per second. I did get the SkyRover ND filters, and I would highly recommend these if you're serious about getting the best possible video quality because they allow you to control your lighting and shutter speed. Since the X1 is still pretty new, these are the only ND filters available as of the making of this video. In the SkyRover Facebook group, some pilots have mentioned that you can use ND filters for the DJI Flip, but I haven't actually tried that. If you have experience using different ND filters on the X1, drop a comment and let us know. I'm sure a lot of other pilots would appreciate it. The X1 does have an HDR mode, which is Hybrid Log Gamma, or HLG. It can give you richer colors and better dynamic range if you know how to color grade it. Here's some examples of some shots that I got using the HLG mode before and after converting them to Rec. 709. This was a rainy, cloudy day, so the lighting was not ideal, but the shots still came out pretty well. Unfortunately, there's no log profile in this drone and no option to shoot in 10-bit color. Technically, it would be possible to add this in a firmware update since this drone is using the exact same sensor as the DJI Mini 4 Pro, but there's no indication that that will ever happen. I did fly the X1 in a little bit of rain. It was completely unintentional, and I definitely don't advise doing that because no drone is waterproof, and once you get water on your lens, your shots are going to be ruined anyway. My X1 flew through plenty of fog and even some light rains without any problems at all. Another very cool feature of this camera is that the gimbal will tilt 180 degrees to allow you to shoot true 2.7K vertical video. And it also allows you to frame your shot vertically, so it'll probably come out better. Normally, I create vertical content by cropping my 16:9 video, but when you do that, you lose a ton of pixels and field of view, especially at the top and bottom of the image. And the shots usually lose a lot of their impact because I originally framed them for a horizontal aspect ratio. If vertical content is a priority for you, this feature is huge. The X1 has intelligent flight modes, which make it super easy to get great looking aerial shots even if you've never flown a drone before. Here's a pro tip. If you keep some gardening equipment with you, the wife will let you fly your drone all day because she thinks you're mowing the lawn. In the app, tap the video icon, choose quick shots, and your options are Droney, Circle, Helix, Rocket, and Asteroid, which is a pretty cool effect, but it's not something I would probably use. The ones I use the most are Point of Interest, so you can orbit a subject and it comes out perfectly smooth, Hyperlapses, which look very cool when you have some movement like clouds or cars, and Cruise Control, so you can maintain your exact speed or movements for more fluid, perfectly controlled shots. And in this one, I'm not using quick shots in order to keep that waterfall in the shot. Getting these types of aerial shots used to require a lot of skill and experience, but with these intelligent flight modes, even beginners can get some very professional looking shots with the X1. If aerial photography is your game, the camera on the X1 is extremely capable. It can take 12 megapixel and 48 megapixel photos in JPEG or RAW. Technically, the sensor doesn't actually have 48 million pixels. It's using interpolation or some sort of software upscaling magic to make a 12 megapixel sensor act like a 48 megapixel sensor. Those higher resolution images are more detailed, and this would be a great drone for sharing images on social media or even real estate or commercial aerial photography work. We do have obstacle avoidance sensors on the front facing forward, on the back facing backward, and on the bottom directed downward, which gives us full 360-degree obstacle sensing. And you see a visual warning in the app to prevent you from crashing into obstacles that you can't see through the drone camera. For example, if you're orbiting a subject, you might not see obstacles to the side of you because your camera's facing forward. Or if you're pulling away from your subject, you might not see an obstacle that's behind you. With these sensors, the drone is literally monitoring everything for you, and in the app, you can choose whether you want the drone to stop when it sees an obstacle or to find a safe path around it. I tested the obstacle avoidance by having the drone track me as I walked around my garden, and I walked through a forest where there's a ton of tree branches, and the X1 followed me around and found a safe path through that congested environment without any problem. But you need to know that these sensors are not perfect. They'll see most obstacles like walls or trees, but they might not always see thin obstacles like tree branches or power lines. One of the places that I tested the X1 was at a scenic waterfall where there's a lot of zip lines, which are a real drone hazard because they can be really hard to see in some lighting conditions. I flew right up to the zip lines, and those front-facing obstacle avoidance sensors did not see them. During one of my tests, I ran right into one of the zip lines and crashed my drone. In the interest of science, I was flying line of sight and trying to pass as close as possible to the zip lines to see if the sensors would actually detect them, and I just misjudged. Watch the obstacle avoidance indicator on my live view. Notice that I am in normal mode and that the obstacle avoidance icon is white, which means that those sensors are active, but they just never saw the zip lines. Obviously, this was unintentional, it was pilot error, and it's probably the dumbest thing I've done all week. But this test gives us some very valuable information on the X1. First, obstacle avoidance is very useful in certain situations, and it will give you some peace of mind, but it's not perfect. So don't assume that it'll see thin obstacles like power lines or thin tree branches. The second thing it tells me is that the SkyRover X1 is built extremely well and it's very durable. I just crashed mine into a steel cable and plummeted 74 feet to the ground. When it hit the ground, the arms folded in, and other than a few broken props, it was completely undamaged, and it still serves me perfectly well today. Another advantage of a super lightweight drone is that it doesn't have that much inertia if it crashes. It falls more like a leaf than a rock, which makes it more likely to survive. If we put the SkyRover X1 next to the DJI Mini 4 Pro, what's actually different? The advantage of the SkyRover X1 is that it's much cheaper, and it has a much brighter future in the US market with DJI drones being banned. I can't tell you exactly how much cheaper it is because prices change all the time, but I do have links in the video notes if you want to check the price difference right now. With its higher price point, the DJI Mini 4 Pro does have some advantages, like a smart controller with a built-in screen, which eliminates the need to use your phone. The Mini 4 Pro also has 2 gigabytes of built-in storage, which is tiny, but it could be handy if you leave your SD card in the computer at home. The Mini 4 Pro also has DJI's 10-bit D-Log M color profile, which means you can get more professional looking results if you like to color grade. The Mini 4 Pro also just has more tweaks and refinements. The obstacle avoidance performs better. It has a downward facing LED light to assist in landing in low light conditions. The DJI app is a little more refined with things like a virtual home point during return to home, waypoints during hyperlapses, and the Mini 4 Pro has the option for extended batteries and better third-party accessories like ND filters. Is the SkyRover X1 as good as the DJI Mini 4 Pro? No, but it's got 98% of the performance and features at a much lower price point. And if you can grab this bundle on sale, the tech you're getting for the price with the X1 is basically unbeatable. Alright you guys, here are my conclusions on the SkyRover X1. I love how portable this setup is, and the fact that you can just charge up your batteries on the go makes this a perfect travel drone, and the lightweight sub 250 gram design means you don't have to hassle with drone registration or remote ID. And it is as quiet as a drone can be, so you don't attract so much attention to yourself when you go out and fly. The camera quality is amazing, especially if you consider the cost and weight of this drone, and quick shots and the intelligent flight modes make it easy to fly the X1 and get some great aerial shots even if you've never flown a drone before. But for me, what's most important is that the X1 is built on SkyRover's SkyBridge transmission technology. And even though we all know where that tech comes from, nudge nudge, it means that the X1 is packing tech that is literally miles above any other drone in this price category. But like I told you at the beginning, this drone is not perfect, and there are some things you do need to know about. I miss 10-bit recording and the D-Log-M log color profile that we have on other DJI products. Not just the DJI Mini 4 Pro, but also on my Osmo Nano and my FPV drones running the DJI O4 Pro Air unit. The SkyRover X1 is using the same sensor as the Mini 4 Pro, so it is capable of 10-bit recording and log color profiles, but it looks like that tech is being withheld to differentiate DJI's premium products from the X1 and its much lower price point. Another feature that's really missing for me is the availability of a remote with a built-in screen. Using your phone to monitor your live feed isn't really ideal because my phone is usually doing 10 other things at the same time, and there's nothing better than getting a text from the wife right when you're in the middle of getting that perfect aerial shot. And sometimes my phone will overheat and the screen will dim. And the cable won't actually fit with thicker phone cases. I use a life-proof case on my phone, and I have to take it off every time I want to fly the drone. And that's a little bit annoying. A smart remote with a built-in screen makes the experience of setting up and flying your drone so much smoother and more enjoyable, and it's the one feature that I really miss on the SkyRover X1. But if they added a smart remote, we would probably be looking at a very different price point. What do you guys think of the SkyRover X1? Did I forget anything in this review? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you guys. All right, that'll do it for this one. I'll see you guys in the next one.